So this is day 5 of DevOps full course program. So in case if someone has accessed only today's video, I strongly insist to go through and check for all the previous day 1 to day 4 videos. That is very much essential because there we spoke a lot about what DevOps is and various preliminary tools which is needed to start working on DevOps. So now in day 5 session, we are going to talk about AWS, more about AWS Management Console. I'll show you how to use AWS Connect to establish connectivity with EC2 because there are multiple methods to establish connectivity with EC2. One of the multiple method is by using AWS Connect. Other method are by using AWS command line, by using the terminal setup. Now, terminal setup could be different in case if you are a Mac user, then the procedure to connect to terminal will be different for you. If you are a Windows user, then the procedure to connect to terminal will be different for you. If you are a Linux user, then again it will be different for you. So for different type of operating system, procedures are going to be different. I'll give you a high level overview, a kind of overview, understanding of how to establish connectivity with different type of operating systems also. So that in case whatever doesn't matter which type of operating system user you are, you will be able to easily connect to EC2 instance and will be get going along with your work. Now, other than this, yesterday we also spoke about some other methods like like other methods to write script by means of which you will be able to call AWS API. One of the method was AWS Boto 3, and another method was by using AWS CloudFormation template. I'll give you an understanding of how to use CloudFormation template and how to use AWS Boto 3 also. So fine. So let's start. So the first thing which we are going to start about is how to log in into your AWS instance. So that will be pretty much important to understand how to connect to a virtual machine. So because yesterday we have learned how to create a virtual machine. We have created a virtual machine with the key pair by using the PEM file. In day 4 session, we have seen that. And in day 5 session, we are going to specifically talk about how to establish connectivity with EC2 instance. Now, let's understand this thing by using some practicals. So in order to do that, the first thing which you have to do is you go to your AWS Management Console. Now this is the AWS Management Console which we have seen yesterday, wherein we have created one instance also. Now the instance is up and running, like the way you can see this we have done in our day 4 session. It's up and running. So the first thing to establish connectivity, which we are going to learn is by using AWS Connect. So now, once you have this dashboard open and you can see this terminal, at the top you can see an option as connect. There are multiple options: connect, instance, state, actions, launch instances, and all. The one which we are going to choose is connect because this will help me to establish connectivity with AWS console by using AWS user interface, by using AWS management console itself. No need to go through any terminal and look for the IP addresses of this instance. Nothing we have to do. I'm just on to management console and going to hit an option as connect. You see this option I'm going to hit. So basically I'm going to talk about this specific option which I'm going to hit on connect. So I just click on connect. Now here also, here I do have an option of EC2 instance connect, session manager, SSH client, and EC2 serial connect console. The one which I'm going to choose is EC2 instance connect, right? So first I've clicked on, I was in this management console. I was in this management console of instances, and on this management console, I hit on connect. And here I have chosen the option as EC2 instance connect as an option. And as I chose this, here at the bottom, there is an option to correct. So I no need to remember anything. I no need to remember the IP address as such. I no need to remember the username as such. Everything comes pre-filled. I just need to hit on connect option. And as I hit on connect option, you see it's been connected. Now I'm into the virtual machine. I have entered within the virtual machine and I can do anything here. For example, if I have to create a file or I have to create a directory, then I'm going to use a simple Linux command to create a file or to create a directory. Say to create a file, the command is going to be touch and let the file name is shaker. Let the file name is shaker. And as I hit enter, you see a file is created. A file is created with the name share. Okay, so now in case if you have to create a directory, you execute another Linux command, mkdir, let's keep the name as share only, and it says that file already exists, it's not recognizing the difference, and I'll give it a name as share1. And now if I do ls hyphen L, then I can see, yes, it's a directory which is created, and this is the file which is created. So these are Linux command. Don't worry, if you are pretty much new to Linux commands, in my upcoming session, there is a full-fledged session of shell scripting, wherein I'm going to explain you everything which you need to know about Linux commands, about shell script, which is pretty much important from DevOps perspective. Okay, so now you understood how to connect to an instance by using AWS Management Console, and we have executed some of the command also. But there is a drawback of this. Now consider that being a DevOps engineer, you have to establish connectivity with instances, so many instances multiple times. It's not a good practice to click on connect every time and then to open it, because many times you won't even feel comfortable using AWS Management Console because lots of fancy terminals are available, and people like to use their own fancy terminals in order to access these all instances or these all virtual machines, to connect to virtual machines rather than connecting through management console. And also, many times perhaps you will have restricted access to use your management console itself, or your organization is going to prefer more to use your own terminal to connect to these all virtual machines rather than every time opening your management console and connecting through there, right? So this is not that good option to establish connectivity with your EC2 instances. The more better option is by using your terminal, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. Now, in order to close this terminal, I just have to close the browser, because this is a terminal which is open on the browser. It's not as in I do have a tool installed, I don't have any terminal set up. It's just on the browser. I'm going to close it. As I close it, the terminal gets closed. Okay, fair enough. So now this is one of the ways. So what we have learned till now, we have learned how to establish connectivity to EC2 instance, which we have created in our day 4 session also, by using AWS EC2 connect method, which is an option there on AWS user interface itself. Another method is by using AWS command line interface also. Another method is by using terminal also. So let's first understand the process of how to use terminal to establish connectivity. Now the terminal process could be different for different users, for different types of users. Now your terminal, consider that you're a Mac user, then you can have some other terminal with you. If you're a Windows user, then you can have some other terminal with you. If you're a Mac user, then more popular option is to use iTerm with you. iTerm is one of the good Mac terminal which normally people use to establish connectivity with any of the virtual machine. So they're using iTerm. Now, how to will you install iTerm? In order to install iTerm, you just look for iTerm on Google, and here you will look for an option. Look for the terminal which is iTerm. So now in iTerm, and it's a good terminal to use for Mac. So by using iTerm, you will be able to connect to your terminal. So simply click on download option and follow the download wizard follow the setup wizard to install iTerm in your Mac based operating system. Since my laptop is a Windows laptop, I'm going to show you how to set up the Windows based terminal. So by default, Windows provides the terminal of CMD, right? By default, the Windows provide this terminal, CMD terminal, but it's not that good terminal to use along with your to connect to any of the virtual machines and all. You can use, it's not as in you cannot use CMD terminal, but it's not that user friendly and it's not that fancy terminal to use to connect to virtual machine. More fancy terminals are available, which is MobiXterm, which is No Machine. I'll show you how MobiXterm works and overview of how No Machine works. So I prefer using MobiXterm because MobiXterm is a lightweight one, and it's fancy also, and it provides you capability of connecting or having your connectivity open for multiple terminals, or having your connectivity opens for multiple stations. One of the another drawback which I want to highlight to use the AWS EC2 Connect is, with the use of AWS EC2 Connect, the major problem is you will not be able to open your terminal up and high for pretty much longer period of time. So for EC2 dashboard, one of the drawback is it gets disconnected. Terminal terminal disconnection is one of the other drawback. Terminal gets disconnected in here, in here, your terminal gets disconnected. So it's not as in you can stay connected to the AWS EC2 connect terminal for a pretty much longer period of time. It gets disconnected after a certain period of time. Say in case if you went on break and you returned, you found that your terminal is disconnected, which you certainly don't want, right? Because you would prefer to keep working after you return from your break also. So in order to manage that, terminal is the better option. So in Windows, we have MobaXterm, we have No Machine, we have Putty. And I'm going to provide link to install MobaXterm, No Machine and Putty in the description section of this video also. You can prefer that. So I said that command CMD is not that user-friendly terminal. Another terminal is Putty. So in order to use Putty, what you're going to do is you just check for the option as Putty, and in the option of Putty, you will get the option to download Putty. And also I'm going to share you the option to install item also in case if you're a Mac user. So to download Putty, which is a free SSH and Telnet client for Windows, it's an easy option. You download the download Putty software, and you will be able to use with your public IP address of virtual machine of your EC2 instance. But again, this is not that good option. It's providing very restricted functionalities, and it's not that widely used at this point of time. More popular options are there, which is MOBA XTerm. So now with MOBA XTerm, like the way I said that you can save your terminal, at least because MOBA XTerm comes with two types of options. MOBA XTerm comes with two types of options. One is free version, one is free version, and another is paid version. Another one is paid version. So in free version, you can save up to 10 terminals data or 10 sessions data. And in case of paid version, you will be able to save almost 100 sessions of data. 100 sessions data will be saved here. 100 sessions data you can save here. Okay, so now let's see how MobaXterm actually looks like. So now MobaXterm, again, in order to download MobaXterm, you just check for MobaXterm. I'll share you the link to download all these softwares in the description also. So now, if you want to install MobaXterm for Windows 11, for Windows 10, all the options are available with you. So now MobaXterm, it's again one SSH terminal. So it comes with the free version, it comes with the paid version, which is the professional edition. So you just have to click on download now. As you click on download now, you'll have the option of MobaXterm Home Edition, MobaXterm Home Edition, Installer Edition, or Portable Edition. Use Installer Edition or Portable Edition based on your comfort. So your installer edition will be even better because that comes with the package with you, and you will easily be able to manage your MobaXterm terminal with you. Fair enough. So now it's already installed with me. It looks something like this. This MobaXterm external terminal looks something like this. Now in order to connect, and you see penguins watching there. So in case if your MobaXterm terminal is idle for a certain time, you will see penguins walking on your MobaXterm terminal. So now how to establish connectivity to your virtual machine by using MobaXterm. In order to establish connectivity, what you have to do is you have to click on session, and once you click on session, multiple options will open in front of you. You have to choose the option SSH, and here you have to pass IP address of your instance. Now here you have to pass public IP address of your virtual machine. So this is the public IP address of your virtual machine which you have to pass, not the private IP address, because private IP address is mostly used for private connectivity, for secure access, for internal connectivity of application which is installed in this virtual machine by some other service which is internal to which is internal within the VPC or internal within the AWS network, right? So we are not going to use private IP address at this point to establish connectivity to this virtual machine by using MobaXterm. Rather, it will be public IP address. So I'm going to just copy this public IP address and will put in this public IP address under remote host section. Next thing is specify username. So my instance type is Ubuntu. In my day 4 session, I've already explained instance type and the free tier versions of instances and all. So the one which I'm going to choose is Ubuntu. for this demo. So now here the username for Ubuntu is Ubuntu itself. So I just put in the username as Ubuntu. And after that, at the left hand section, so you have passed in the remote host, public IP address of your virtual machine under remote host section. Under username, you have given Ubuntu. Next thing is advanced SSH settings. Under advanced SSH settings, you choose the option. You see last option, which is use private key. The box is unchecked at this point. I'm going to check this box, and as I check this box, it gives me the option to select the file where my private key is present. So my private key is present at a specific file. Let me just go there and look for the option. So my private file is present in this specific location. You see AWS PEM, and I'm going to check and I'm going to select this public PEM file, which is the private key for me. Open it and click on OK. As I click on OK, it gives me this prompt. I'm going to accept it. And as I accept it, it will establish connectivity. You see, I am connected now to my virtual machine again. First option, the way I was connected was by using my AWS Connect option, which was through AWS Management Console. Second way is through Mobile Xterm. Since I'm using Windows, I'm using Mobile Xterm. If you're a Mac user, you can use Item also, like the way I explained you a few minutes back. Again, there will be link to download, to install Item, and to install Mobile Xterm, no machine putty in the description of this video also. So anytime you can go and you can check the description and you can just get it installed. Now again, if I execute the command ls here, you see what happens. Those files or those directories which I had created earlier still is present here. So now if I execute more detailed command ls-l, you see quite the same thing I'm saying here. Now in case if I want to create some more files, so now in case if I want to create other file here, which is touch shaker, and if I do a ls here again, you see here, now the file which is with the name shaker also got created here, right? So you will be able to create and we will be able to access your terminal by using mobile xterm and other softwares like no machine also. I personally prefer mobile xterm because mobile xterm is lightweight, it's easy to use, and comes with an option to save multiple terminal options with us. Now, one another way is by using SSH command. Now, say in case if you're using mobile, if you're using your softwares such as if you're using software such as Item, or if you're a Linux user, then you will not be using this mobile xterm or other softwares to establish connectivity. In such situation, you will prefer to execute some SSH command, because SSH is a software which is installed there on Linux terminal, or it's installed on Mac terminal. It's not installed on Windows. So we'll not be able to use SSH along with your Windows terminal until unless you are again using some other IDEs. Like if you're using Visual Studio Code, their SSH will work. Now, in order to execute SSH command, you will have this specific format to execute SSH command, SSH-I, right? This will be the command which you can use to connect to a virtual machine by using SSH command, SSH-I, username at the rate public IP address. And here the example also I have provided, which is SSH-I, and I stands for your file where the PEM key is present. I points to identity file basically. So I stands for identity file, identity file, and this identity file is pointing to the file location, complete path file location where PEM file is present, file location of .pem file. Okay, so identity file will point to file location where .pem file is present. So now this is where your hyphen I will come, and it will also look for the username and password, username and public IP address of your machine. So SSH hyphen I, username of your machine, which is Ubuntu for Ubuntu type of virtual machine, at the rate public IP address of your machine. Once you execute this command, you might incur certain error. The error could be that permission is too open. The error could be which the error might say that permission is too open, is too open for .pem file, for .pem file, you might get this error. And in case if you get this error, then understand why this error is in the first place. This error comes because .pem file is a secure file. It's the file which is used instead of password, which AWS offers you to establish connectivity with your virtual machine. Now, as a DevOps engineer, you are not going to always use your laptop to start to work on any of the machine. Rather, you will use a virtual machine, a shared virtual machine rather, and your PEM file might be present in that shared machine. Now, if you are using a shared machine which is used by other engineers also, you would not like your PEM file to be so open so that it can be tweaked by other engineers also. Rather, you will make it more restricted. In order to make it more restricted, you will execute the command, which is the command is chmod. So don't worry in case if you don't know what this chmod command is. In our upcoming session, I'm going to show you, I'm going to just teach you how to work with this chmod command also. So the command is chmod. The command will be chmod, and with chmod you will use the option chmod, and with you will use the option as 600, and then you will give the pem file path, pem file path. So there are two options. One is there are an option of accessing by using SSH also, but while using SSH, you may encounter certain permission error, and to handle the permission error, this will be command chmod 600 and the complete pem file path. So it comes with a format. So the format of execution of this command is chmod. I'll just write it here. I'll just write it here so that you can refer it. Chmod 600, chmod space 600 space file path. And which file path? It's .pem file path. .pem file path. This will be the command. As you execute this command, your work will get going. Nothing will be a blocker after this. Okay, so now let's take a quick recap of what we have done till now. We have learned how to connect to an EC2 instance by using Amazon AWS Management Console user interface. We also learned the drawback of it. The drawback is you will not be able to keep your terminal open for longer period of time. Also, say in case if you have to connect to multiple instance, then user interface is not a good option. For that, we use terminals. For different operating system, we do have different types of terminals. For Mac, the terminal which we use is iTerm. For Windows, the terminal which we use is MobiXterm, no machine putty, CMD. The link for MobiXterm, no machine putty will found in description itself. CMD being the default terminal for Windows, which is not a good option. Another method is, say in case if you have to execute SSH command either from your Windows IDE like VS Code, or from your Linux machine, or from your Mac terminal. So normally when you're using Mac terminal, you are going to execute SSH command only. You are not going to use the default user interface method to establish connectivity to your machine, to your instance. For that, you are going to execute SSH command, and with the SSH command is this one. That is what we have learned. This is the SSH command, right? This is the SSH command to establish connectivity. SSH-i username at the rate public IP address. Now hyphen I is the identity file, where your identity file which contains entire path of your PEM file. Now, when you're doing this, you may encounter some permission error, and in order to cope up with the permission error, the command is chmod space 600 and the complete path of your PEM file. Once you do this, your problem will be resolved. So this was one of the method. Another method is by using AWS CLI, you will be able to establish connectivity. Now let's try to learn how we will work with AWS CLI. So now in order to work with AWS CLI, the first thing is AWS CLI should be installed in your machine. So now in order to install AWS CLI, what you will do is you will again go to Google and look for AWS CLI installation option. So let's check for AWS CLI installation option so that you can just work with it. AWS CLI download. Check for AWS CLI download option, and once you look for it, you click on this option, right? Once you look for it, click on this option. This option will give you option to install AWS CLI in different kind of operating system. In Linux, in Mac OS, in Windows, all the three different kind of operating system, you will get an option to install AWS CLI. Let's check first with Linux. Say in case if you are using a Linux operating system, then it's very easy method. You just have to copy this and execute this. You don't need to worry about anything. It might happen that unzip might not be installed in your machine, so you have to install unzip also in your machine while you're executing this. But this will be the simple method. Curl the path where AWS CLI package is present, then unzip the package and then execute the AWS install command with sudo privileges to it. That's it. Now if you are a Mac user, then for Mac users, the method is to, even the easier method is there for Mac user also. For Mac user, you can either use GUI installer. In order to use GUI installer, you download the Mac OS AWS CLI package file from this path and then follow the download instruction by using your Mac terminal, by using your Mac user interface rather. If you're using Mac terminal, if you're using command line interface, or if you're using iTerm as the terminal, which we have seen installation part in our previous discussion, you are just going to copy and paste this command and just going to execute this command. That's it. Simple way to do that. Now, the another method which is used for Windows is the AWS CLI package installation, download and installation. So by using this, you are going to download AWS CLI version 2.msi file. And with this, and after you have downloaded this, it's just the installation wizard which opens and it will help you to install AWS CLI. It's very easy. You just try clicking on this, it will download the MSI package, and post that you just follow the instruction to install, quite similar to any package installation in Windows. Now, once you do that, your package will be, your AWS CLI will be installed. Now, how will you be able to check if AWS CLI is installed or not? So, in order to check if AWS CLI is installed or not, you just have to execute the command AWS version. So, you just have to execute the command AWS version. And as you execute this command AWS version, you get this kind of output. So if you get this kind of output, that basically means your software is installed and you are good to go ahead, you are good to use this specific software AWS CLI. Now how will you establish connectivity with your machines with AWS CLI? Now in order to establish connectivity with your machines, the first thing which you have to do is you have to execute one command which is AWS configure. This will be the first thing which you have to execute. Now, when you execute the command AWS configure, because now what happened is you have a CLI, AWS CLI installed with you, but how your AWS CLI will know which AWS account to connect with, which AWS user to connect with. Now, in order to do that, you have to execute the command AWS configure. This AWS configure will ask for AWS key ID, AWS secret ID, your location, and the file type format. These four options, these four asks are there for AWS configure output. Now let's see how will you find it, this AWS access key ID. In order to get AWS access key ID, the first thing which you will do is you will go to your AWS management console, and in your AWS management console, you see this is my username. At the right top corner, you will see your username mentioned. For me, my username is technical trainings. You click on the drop down just beside your username and you see an option called security credentials. Click on that security credentials. As you click on this security credentials, automatically it will take you to a place where you have to, your security credentials will be present. Now you scroll down. This is the easy option which I'm showing you. There are other options also, but this is the most easy option to begin with. Going forward, as you will get more and more expert in using AWS, I will show you more advanced method to use it by using IAM user and all. So now this is one of the users. So as of now, one is created for me. I'm just going to delete this. I'm going to deactivate this and cancel. Sorry, I'm going to just delete this And in order to delete, it's asking, okay, fine, just copy this and paste this here and click on delete. So it's always good. You once you are exposing, say, consider that for some reason your this secret key ID and secret is exposed and others know about it, then delete it and recreate it. Because these are quite sensitive things. Anybody who is having access to this secret key ID and your secret will be able to access your AWS management console and will be able to create multiple resources. And in return, you have to pay charges to AWS for that. So it's always good in case if it's been exposed, then try to delete it. Okay, fair enough. So now you create the access key. Now, in order to create access key, click on create access key and you check the box, I understand, and create access key. That's it. Three simple, easy steps. As you click on that, you have the option of access key and secret access key. You will have this one exposed. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this access key, just copy this access key, and I'll come back to my terminal, which is IDE, which is Visual Studio Code here. I'm going to paste this. So now here I pasted my AWS access key ID, hit enter. Next thing is AWS secret access key. Now this is the sensitive one, which is hidden behind, which is encrypted also. So I'm going to copy this also. So don't worry, after this demo, anyways, I'm going to delete this. So for now, I'm just going to paste it for you and hit enter. Next is asking for the default region where I want to create all the resources. So I said you yesterday, you can choose any region. I'm going to choose the region as AP South 1, and let's choose the option as AP hyphen south hyphen 1 and hit enter. And the fourth option, default output format, I'm just going to keep the format as JSON and hit enter. As I hit enter, I have already established connectivity with my AWS. So this is the way we will establish connectivity with AWS. So now it's not only the way which is going to work for your AWS CLI. Yes, it is going to work for AWS CLI, but not only for AWS CLI. Say in case if you want to access Boto 3 as the Boto 3 as the module, as the Python module to create any resources there on AWS, you will be executing same AWS configure command so that your AWS CLI, so that your machine recognizes AWS account where you want to make changes on. AWS configure is the command. Always remember, it is very, very important command. It is going to allow your terminal to have access to AWS console. It will recognize your AWS account by your AWS your AWS CLI, by your terminal from where you want to access your AWS account. Another thing is from here you can execute any command. A sample command which I'm going to execute is AWS S3 ls. AWS S3 ls, which will display me all the S3 buckets. See, as of now, there is no S3 bucket perhaps, and there is a reason it's not showing anything for me. So now if I come here and if I check for my S3 resource in case if it's available, so I'll just type for S3 and look for the S3 bucket if it's available. Let's see if it's opening and it says nothing is there, right? It says nothing is there. Let me quickly create a bucket, and this is S3 bucket. I'm just going to keep all the values as default for the time being, for the sake of time, and I'm just going to give a bucket name. Bucket name should be very, very unique. So I'm just going to put today's date, 25/4/2025, and I'll give the time as 8 a.m. and just create the bucket. Okay, now see the bucket is has created. Now here, few minutes back it was not showing anything. I'm going to execute same command AWS S3 ls. Now it should show me the bucket which I have created. You see, it's showing me now the bucket which I have created. So that basically means that my command line is able to interact with the AWS terminal and is able to fetch the data from there. Now you can also create your EC2 instances also by using your AWS CLI. In your AWS documentation, you can just refer this. So in case this is the AWS documentation, I'm going to share the documentation link also in the description so that you can check it and you can practice it. And this will be your one of the assignment to use AWS terminal to create resources. Now, in order to use, the option is just copy this. You see, just copy this and come back here. And let me just clear the screen. Let me just clear this and let me just make the size bigger. Now you see this is the command. AWS EC2 run instance hyphen F an image ID. Here I have to give the image ID which I want to create an instance from. How many instances? Yes, in my day 4 session, I was saying, okay, fine. Doesn't matter if it's first count, second count, third count, fourth count, how many instances you want to create. By using the API, by using AWS API, you will be able to automate that process. And this is the process which I was referring to. This AWS EC2, this AWS CLI by the help of AWS configure is going to cause AWS EC2 API, is going to call AWS EC2 API. And by using that, I will be able to automate. Now, it doesn't matter if it's one instance, if it's 10 instances, I will be able to create all those instances just by execution of one single command. So try to practice this as a part of your assignment also. So it's going to look for the image ID, it's going to look for the instance type, which you keep as T2 micro for the time being, key name, the same key which you have created originally by while you were creating the instance by using user interface, security group ID, keep it default. Just type default, because by default is AWS do have the security group with the name default. And subnet ID, give subnet ID which is a part of that VPC where you want to create the resources. That's it. And as you hit enter, it is going to create the resources for you. So this is another method. So what we have learned till now, you have learned AWS CLI an option. In order to work with AWS CLI, you have to use AWS configure. You have to execute for sure AWS configure. Without AWS configure, your things are not going to work. So this is one of the quite essential component. AWS configure. AWS configure will ask for your secret ID, your secret ID, your secret, your region, and the file type format. File type format. So these four options you can get from your secret ID. Secret ID, again, you have to generate a secret like the way I've shown you a few minutes back. Secret, these all are very sensitive data. So in case if it's been exposed by you, then it's in case if it's been exposed and you think that somebody else knows about your secret ID or secret, then always delete it and recreate it. It's always safe. Okay, so this is the option by using AWS configure. The next option is to use Boto3, which is another Python-based API, which is used to establish connectivity with AWS API. So this Boto3 is the Python-based module, which is also going to help us to establish connectivity with, which is also going to help us to connectivity with AWS APIs, right? So one of the sample API which we are going to refer in our demo is APIs. One of the sample API which I'm going to show you is your EC2 API. So now this is a sample code. With this code, you will understand how Boto3 is able to establish connectivity with AWS EC2 API and is able to create it. So you see there are multiple Python programs there in this specific repository. EC2 instance create, describe, manage multiple instances, EC2 instances. .py you have to assign a tag to your EC2 instance. Now the first one is to use your import B3, which is pretty much a Python command. Say in case if you understand Python, then this will be Boto3 will be your go ahead module to work with to start communicating with AWS by using AWS APIs, AWS REST APIs. So here, this is the way you will be able to work on it. So first thing is you have to call it Boto3. You have to first import it. Under Boto3 module, there is a resource type of function which you have to use, and within this you have to just pass all values. What are the values you are passing? Image ID, the count of instance, minimum count, maximum count, and instance type. And when you pass these all values, you will be able to create your AWS EC2 instance by using Boto3 module. This is another method. One another method which we are going to quickly learn is cloud formation template. So in order to understand cloud formation template, you just type CFT. As you type CFT, the option which opens in front of you is cloud formation. So now in cloud formation, you have to create a stack. So now you click on create stack. As you click on create a stack, so you can choose an existing template, you can build from infrastructure composer, or you can just upload a template file. So now normally what happens is all the DevOps engineer, they prefer to write the template in their Visual Studio Code, in whatever IDE they are using. They prefer to write that CFT template in their IDE and then to upload it later. So, for an example, I do have one already open with me. So this GitHub repository contains a list of multiple CFTs which you can use. For example, in order to create an EC2, you click on this and there are multiple CFTs. CFTs are normally of two different formats. Either it can be in JSON format or could be in YAML format. More preferably, people use the one which is with YAML format, because the YAML is pretty much easy syntax to work on. And this I'm going to explain while I'm going to start a Ansible complete course session also. So now, for example, I've opened one of the YAML, and these are very lengthy and very lengthy codes. Nobody can remember all the components of these YAML format. So now everyone refers some of the other repository or some of the other documentation to take some references, to take some help while writing these sort of CloudFormation templates. So now this is one of those CFTs which will help you to create EC2 instances. Now, when you have this, you simply take this and you simply save this in your local machine and you just upload it. So you upload a template file, and as you upload a template file, you choose the file, and already the CFT is present there in your machine locally. You just choose the file and hit on next button. As you hit a next button, that gets uploaded and you will be able to create it. So consider this as an assignment. Try to create this, try to use this format. I'm going to share the link of these all CloudFormation stacks URL, which is a GitHub URL, which I'm going to put in description so that you can use it and you can refer it. So what we have learned till now, we have learned how to connect to AWS EC2 Management Console, AWS EC2 Management Console, uh, by using your terminal, by using your AWS Management Console, how to connect to your EC2 instance here through here. And in order to connect to this EC2 instance, you are going to use public IP, or you can use the AWS EC2 Connect process also through AWS Management Console. You can use some terminal like MobaXterm, No Machine, Putty, CMD through your Windows machine. From Mac, you can use iTerm. When you are going to use it, you may encounter certain problems. You have to execute SSH command for that purpose. And after that, there are other methods also. There are the other methods which we are going to use is by using either Boto3 or by using the cloud formation stack. That is another method to establish connectivity to your EC2 and to establish connectivity to your AWS APIs. So yes, these are the different methods of covering everything to establish connectivity with your AWS APIs, uh, which you are going to use while working on DevOps processes and all. Okay, so this is all about which I wanted to cover in my day 5 session. Now, there are certain assignments which I already said. Try to work with this Boto 3. I'm going to share the link of reference templates also, which will be quite helpful for you. Okay, so now if you are liking this session, if you feel as if the session can be shared and can be beneficial to someone else also, please share this video link to others also, so that they can also go through and they can also just consult the ideas or learnings which I'm trying to deliver here, because I'm trying to be very honest while delivering this session. So if you are sharing it, others will also get benefited out of these sessions, and it will be a kind of help to them also. And if you're liking my sessions, don't forget to hit on like button and certainly share it. And if you did not share it yet, okay, let's meet again in our tomorrow session. In our tomorrow session, I'm going to talk more and more about scripting, automation, and I'm going to provide more advantages of DevOps and the idea behind DevOps making your IT infrastructure more and more effective. Thank you everyone again for watching my day 5 session.